She was a promising young woman, a hard-working student, and suddenly she went missing. What happened to Jasmine Cigarroa? Jasmine's friends and family feared the worst, and the Denver Police Department seemed to agree, as their investigation led them to suspect something terrible had happened to her. Someone close to Jasmine could be responsible for her disappearance.
So we were sleeping here, and we'd appeared a big boom above us.
It was over her husband because she didn't know if to divorce him or not, because they had an argument those 3 months ago where he tried pulling her out of the car.
She just told me I have a confession to make. I haven't been completely honest with you. I've been in an abusive relationship with Johnny.
Before we begin, let us express our deepest sympathies to the family and friends of Jasmine Cigarroa and all those others affected by this case. It wasn't like Jasmine Cigarroa to miss an appointment, especially when that appointment was to meet up with friends. But on Tuesday, March the 9th, 2021, that is exactly what happened. Jasmine's friend called to confirm their arrangements, but got no answer. In fact, she couldn't get through to Jasmine all day. So she went to her home to try to find out if she was okay. Nobody answered the door, and there was no sign of Jasmine anywhere. As it turns out, it wasn't just Jasmine's friend who had noticed her absence. The following day, on March the 10th, Jasmine's husband, Jonathan Nuno Mijangos, called 911 to report his wife missing from their home at the 7500 block of East 28th Avenue. Officers were sent to file a missing persons report.
My wife was in the morning.
Okay.
Before I went to work.
Yesterday?
Yesterday.
Okay.
She had texted me, said she was going to go out with a friend.
Okay.
She never mentioned where she was going or anything.
Okay.
I came home.
How did she go out? I saw something about her car's here.
Her car is here, so
Okay.
I don't know if her friend came and picked her up.
She didn't tell you?
No.
Wow.
No. So she usually tells me, but
Does she left her phone here? Okay, what's your name, man?
My name is Jonathan.
Do you have any place that she could be that we could try?
We have a friend in Colorado Springs.
And you've tried them? They haven't heard anything?
No, I haven't heard anything.
Has she done this before?
She has gone out before, but she usually comes back.
Really?
Yeah.
But she's gone out and just not told you?
She's gone out and told me and just comes back, or she doesn't tell me and she forgets and she comes home.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, and this is since yesterday morning?
Yesterday morning.
Okay.
So I saw her yesterday morning, and when I came home, she wasn't here anymore.
But it's not like her to be gone this long, right?
No.
What's her name?
Jasmine.
Has she wanted to hurt herself at all before, or?
In the past,
Yeah.
she's had tendencies, so that was like before we got married.
And I don't mean to be negative, I'm just thinking, have we tried hospitals at all, or?
I have not tried
Okay.
in hospitals.
Okay.
I
You
probably
work,
should have
you
done
work
that
for
first.
Centura.
Yeah.
Jonathan had told the officers he hadn't seen his wife since the morning of the 9th before he went to work at 9 a.m. Around 10 a.m., Jasmine sent Jonathan a text message telling him she was meeting up with friends that evening, but as we know, she never made it to that meetup. What could have led to Jonathan being the last person to see Jasmine alive? Officers decided to speak to the couple's neighbors to see if they had any information on her whereabouts. Although they didn't know where Jasmine was, they did notice some suspicious activity coming from their apartment.
When I knocked on the door, I mentioned that we were here in regards to your neighbor who, excuse me, has been reported as missing.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering if you know anything about it or what's going on, or...
So, not yesterday, day before.
So the 8th?
The 8th,
Okay.
right? Because our son had a doctor's appointment at 11. So we were sleeping here, and we'd appeared a big boom above us.
Okay. The appointment was on the 9th? Okay, thank you, sir. Okay.
Yeah, it was the 9th, because, 11 o'clock appointment. So, we was all sleeping here. We hear a big boom, and it woke us all up.
Was it 11 a.m. or 11 p.m.?
A.M.
Okay.
And normally we thought it was the dogs running, because that's what we normally hear, but this boom was a huge boom.
Okay, they have dogs?
Yeah.
Okay.
So after we heard the boom, you heard the dogs barking. So maybe it was like they're just running, playing with the dog, because then it calmed down.
Okay.
So then we still laid here for it was like 20 minutes before we heard the car. And it started up, and I was like, I hope it don't wake up the baby, because it's a loud car.
What kind of car is it?
It's a Cooper, Mini Cooper.
A Mini Cooper? What color?
Red, with a white top.
Okay.
So it is normal. It started up and sat there, because that's what she normally do. She would get in the car, she would sit there, do what she has to do, and then she'll pull off. So then that happened yesterday.
Okay.
And then it seemed a little weird. It's kind of a little hesitant when it was pulling off. It's not the usual noise. So
Okay.
we didn't pay it no mind. We ended up leaving, get dressed. I want to say, wasn't the red car gone before we left?
Yeah, all the cars were gone because we shared a garage.
You share a garage with them. Okay.
So we can always see or hear her coming in or always cross with her.
Mm-hmm.
But then that evening, I realized the white car was in the garage. And I'm like, normally they would switch.
Okay.
I don't know if it's on their routine, but sometimes you'll see the white car in there, and then he'll move for her to come in to park her car.
Okay.
So then yesterday when it happened, it was kind of weird because as we was leaving, we was coming, he was leaving, because this is around
the time I get off of work. I get off by like midnight.
Okay, so late last.
Yeah, it was late
Like
because
about, like,
around 10 something, the white car was still in the garage. When I got home.
On the same day as the doctor's appointment?
Mm-hmm, this is all the same day.
Okay, so the 9th about 10:30 or 10-ish at
Because
night.
my nephew was here,
Uh-huh.
and my sister came and got him around 10:30ish.
Uh-huh.
And that's when we realized the white car was in the garage, and we was like, yeah, okay, they just switched out. So then I ended up leaving to go get him from work, and when we come back is when he's like moving the car out. We're coming in. So,
And that was after midnight then?
yeah.
Okay.
So then we didn't pay it no mind. We're in here, he's relaxed, I'm getting baby together, and then we hear the Cooper come in. So I'm thinking maybe she came home, because you could hear it, and he backed it in like she normally do. So then I'm like, okay, that's her. Nothing of it.
As well as Jonathan's usual activity with Jasmine's car, the neighbors also had some interesting information on the couple's turbulent home life.
Have you heard any other disturbances up there?
They always argue a lot.
Okay.
Like when we first moved here, you would hear them argue all the time, And he would hear more of the argument because he leaves more than I do. I'm here with the baby.
Okay.
So he's heard them argue plenty of times. And I guess she was like, yeah, I'm leaving. And then I guess she would threaten him to leave. But
It was entirely possible that Jasmine had walked out on her marriage to Jonathan, especially with his aggressive temper. Jonathan was arrested in 2019 on suspicion of domestic violence and charged with second-degree assault after he was accused of trying to choke Jasmine. She dropped the charges and was soon back together with her husband. It seems that things didn't work out from there, and the relationship continued to break down. But for Jasmine to walk out and disappear without telling a single friend or family member was behavior out of character for the young woman, and it left a lot of people worried, including the Denver Police Department. To solve the mystery and to try to find Jasmine alive, officers would question her closest friends and family in hopes that someone might have vital information on her whereabouts. Those family and friends revealed a marriage in crisis and a relationship on the verge of breaking down completely. Jasmine had confided in one of her friends and described to her just how bad the relationship had been over the years.
So when she did confide in you, what did she tell you about what was happening?
She just told me I have a confession to make. I haven't been completely honest with you. I've been in an abusive relationship with Johnny, and I've gone to the hospital a few times because of it. And she has tried leaving, and he apparently has tried leaving too, but they always come back together.
Okay. But she said she went to the hospital a couple times?
That's what she told me. I honestly didn't. She told me about it, but I didn't know the extent of it.
Gotcha. So she didn't say, like, how she was physically hurt or anything like that?
She just said general response, like he would hit me, but no other explanations if it was with fists or anything else.
Okay. What was your impression of Jonathan when you were around him? What kind of person was he? Was he quiet? Was he outgoing? Something else?
Hanging out with him with Jasmine, he seemed more outgoing than Jasmine. He would ask me how work was, and then he shared with me that he wanted to become a physician's assistant at one point. So I honestly thought the relationship was taking a turn and that he was changing and wanted to get his life around. So I just believed in that. I did not expect for.
Jasmine and her friend had spoken on March the 6th. The very next day, Jasmine had spoken to her brother, Francisco, via text message. Francisco also had information on the relationship that might prove useful.
Is it usual for you guys to communicate with text messages, or do you guys call each other on a regular basis?
It's pretty normal. Well, for me, we had an argument about three months ago, so our communication wasn't the best. She would still text me though if she was gonna go out. Hey, I'm gonna go out to Colorado Springs with my friend, and she would let me know.
Okay.
But she would always text my dad every morning, like, hey, how are you doing? How do you guys wake up and stuff like that. And on Monday, that was the last time he didn't get a text that morning. And then, well, Tuesday, we found out that she was missing from the police.
Okay, all right.
Francisco wasn't the only member of Jasmine's family that did not approve of her relationship with Jonathan. He claimed Jonathan was abusive, both mentally and physically. Jasmine had fallen out with some members of her family on numerous occasions, mostly because of something her husband had done. But on one occasion, he took things just a little too far.
So you mentioned that you guys had a falling out 3 months ago? What was up with that?
It was over her husband, because she didn't know if to divorce him or not, because they had an argument those 3 months ago where he tried pulling her out of the car, and she called us. And well, she has like really bad depression and anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And well, I was talking with her, and she told me, she's like I don't know like what to do. And I told her, like, take the best decision. Like, I can't decide for you. Like, we know that like the best decision for you is to leave him, but I can't tell you that. Like, you have to take that on yourself. And she started getting therapies. She went to a couple within the last 2 months that I remember. And this Tuesday was her last one, actually. It was at 1 p.m. That's what she had on her calendar.
She said she was getting therapy?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I'm going to come back to the therapy.
Yeah.
But you said that 3 months ago, her husband tried to pull her out of her car.
Yes.
Did she say when this happened? Or I'm sorry, where this happened?
It was by her apartment.
Okay.
We actually went to see her. The cops were called.
Okay.
They had an argument. She didn't. Well, I don't remember what she told us what it was about, but she wouldn't get out the car because she didn't feel safe getting out of the car and going into the apartment with him.
Mm-hmm.
And she called us and called the police. And the police did arrive. They talked with him and they made him leave the area.
Okay. So yeah. Denver police were called?
Yes.
And you said that this was back, would have been beginning of December? That sound right?
Or it'd be probably September, around September actually.
Okay, all right.
That'd be about 4 months.
Okay. And do you know how that ultimately resolved itself?
She ended up living for herself for around 2 months, and then she got sick, and he wanted to take care of her, and he stayed, And then, well, that's how it went on. And
okay, and when she left him back in September, October, whenever this was, where did she stay?
At her apartment. He left with his parents.
Oh, okay. So
yes.
He left. She stayed
yes.
at her home over on 28th. Okay. All right.
It was clear that Francisco didn't like Jonathan, but it is unlikely he would suspect him of being involved in his wife's disappearance. That was until he paid a visit to their home and noticed something out of the ordinary.
After you talked to Jonathan, you went over, got his permission, got his key,
yeah.
Went back to their address over at 28th. Did you see anything out of the ordinary there?
No, everything seemed fine. I mean, the only weird thing is that all her stuff was there. I also didn't find any of her shoes, which was kind of weird.
Okay. Do you know how many pairs of shoes she typically has?
Let me see. Like around 3 to 4 pairs.
So all of her shoes are gone?
Yeah.
Anything else out of the ordinary?
Her car was incorrectly parked.
Okay.
Yeah, she would never let him drive it. So, and I mean, it's a Mini Cooper. She knew how to park it anywhere, and especially in her garage, she would always stay perfectly straight. And this time it was tilted with the point towards the left and the back into like the other neighbor's garage.
Okay. And I understand you talked to the neighbors?
Yes.
Okay.
And that wasn't all that aroused Francisco's suspicion, as surveillance footage of the couple's Ring camera appeared to have been tampered with, and only a couple of people had access to it.
Do you have access to your sister's Ring account?
Yeah, I can get on it right here on her phone.
Okay.
There's one thing that's weird on Tuesday, which is the camera was off from, up to date, from around 11 p.m. all the way till the morning of Wednesday. The camera was off until 7 a.m.
Does anybody else have access to that camera?
Jonathan.
Okay. All right.
So far, the investigation had produced more questions than answers. So, to try and make sense of it all, Jonathan was brought in to help police with their inquiries.
Let's go back to Tuesday then. So why don't you just take me through your whole Tuesday, pretty much from the time that you woke up Tuesday morning till the time you called 911, I assume, and had an officer come out.
So Tuesday...
And just so we're clear, we're talking about this last Tuesday, which would have been March 9th.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
So on Tuesday, woke up at 6:30.
Are you guys on the same thing? No, okay. All right.
No.
So you wake up at 6:30.
I woke up at 6:30. I walked the dog quickly, came back, took a shower.
Mm-hmm.
Went to use the restroom. Was being a guy, and so I was scrolling on Instagram. She opened the door, was like, "You're not even in the shower yet." I'm like, "No, I'm sorry." Like, this is why you're running late. I'm like, "I know." And so we got in the shower, we took a shower together, talking about, hey, don't forget on Friday we need to buy our plane tickets and reserve the hotel since we're going out to Utah for her graduation.
Oh, okay.
For her master's degree. I was like, yeah, I remember. I want to send you whatever we're gonna even you're gonna be okay. You're gonna just stay with $1 or $2 again. I'm like, yeah, I'm okay with that. We're going to your graduation. I got out, fed the dog. She was getting ready. She put on her PJs again. It was blue shorts and the gray shirt. I think it was her Vegeta one. Vegeta gray shirt. She had her gray socks on. So they're the same PJs because she's working from home. She likes to be comfy.
Sure.
So she sat down and started working.
Jonathan made no mention of an argument or a fallout between the couple that morning, despite the neighbors hearing a loud disturbance. In fact, it appeared the couple were getting along well together, at least according to Jonathan.
And yeah, she texted me. I was on my way to work around 10 o'clock. I got a text from her saying, "Hey, I'm going to go out with some friends." And I told her, okay.
You got a text from
my wife
around 10 o'clock.
Around 10 o'clock.
Okay.
I was at that point I was on Evans next to University of Denver.
Okay.
So then I got a text from her, hey, I want to go out with a friend tonight. I told her, okay, be careful.
Okay.
In the past, what I've asked her, who are you going with, where are you going, what time are you going to be coming back? We are in a fight about it. She said, tell me you're not my dad, you don't need to be asking me this kind of questions, you don't own me, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. So
I knew not to ask those questions. I just told her, okay, be careful.
Sure.
Jonathan's story remained consistent throughout. He claimed his marriage to Jasmine was happy and healthy, and that they had made plans to start a family in the future. But according to everyone else, that was not the case. He also described his every move during March the 9th. But little did he know the investigating officer had more information that he was letting on.
All right. Your neighbors said they heard a loud bang?
That was probably the dog, because she has a bone that's unbreakable.
Unbreakable?
Yeah, because she goes through twice quickly.
How big is this bone? Okay.
It's red and it's really loud.
Mm.
When she grabs it, throws it, because she does the same thing with her treats.
Gotcha.
Her bone treats, and so those are breakable, and so she's been trying to break it and destroy it. And so she does that a lot.
Okay. All right. Do you know your neighbors at all? No. Okay. You guys ever talk?
No, I put complaints on them because they're smoking weed when they're not supposed to in our building, and they also have a baby.
Gotcha.
And that's the bottom one.
Bottom ones. Okay.
The new ones, I haven't even spoken with them.
Okay.
Before long, Jonathan's story began to slowly unfold as he was outsmarted at every move.
She sent you a text on Sunday?
Not Sunday.
Not Sunday. Okay. She sent you the text on Wednesday.
No.
Okay, on Tuesday. I'm sorry. Too many days here.
Tuesday.
All right. Okay. Do you have your phone with you?
I do.
Can I see that text?
I don't have the text anymore.
Oh, okay. What happened to the text?
I just went through my phone and I go through my phone like every month and I just delete messages.
Oh, okay. So
this
do you
is
have
my
any,
mom, my coworker, because she said, hey, there's someone, hey, Evan, you want me to tell you there's a cop or another guy standing right next to your car.
Oh, okay.
Talking about the truck or some ish. Coworkers, because one of our coworkers is leaving, so we want to plan a party, and then my dad saying something about me being the account of their Sam's Club thing. That's it.
Okay.
And then the only messages I have, I don't even have any like Facebook messages from her. I emailed her today. That's it. If you want to see that.
Okay, and that was sent
today.
7:34 this morning.
Because I had to be over today at 7:45 to cover for a provider.
Okay.
So for a provider today.
Okay.
The interview would only get worse for Jonathan as the investigator presented testimony from his neighbors that would tear apart his story piece by piece.
Now, does she ever let you park her car?
Yes.
Okay.
To get practice.
Okay. All right.
In reverse.
Because I guess one of your neighbors said she's real particular about being in the lines and being squared away.
She's really particular.
Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about that garage, because my understanding is that there's 3 bays in there.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, 1, 2, and 3, each have their own assigned spot. And you've got your own assigned spot.
No, my wife has her assigned spot.
So assigned spot. Okay. Well, I'm sorry. When I say we,
yeah.
Where do you park your car?
In the street.
Okay. Is it always in the street?
Or if there's like somewhere I can park it in like the back, because there's parking lots in the back.
That doesn't seem very fair. She's staying at home and her car's sheltered, but you got to park your car out in the street when you're coming and going?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. All right, well, to each their own. So how long has her car been parked in that spot?
Since we moved in there.
Oh, okay, she doesn't drive it at all?
She drives it, but what do you mean?
Well, it's parked over at the house right now. We know that. Did she last park it, or did you last park it?
I last parked it.
You last parked it. When did you last park it?
I don't even remember.
Okay.
Maybe Monday?
Monday?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the investigator had testimony to suggest Jonathan wasn't being as honest as he made out.
Because see, we talked to the neighbors, and they said that when they came out, it was kind of curious because her car sort of sticks out, and it was parked in its normal spot.
Mm-hmm.
And then later, they came back, and they said that the garage light was out, and your car was parked in her spot, and that her car was parked out on the street. And this would have been late Tuesday evening.
Late Tuesday evening?
Yeah.
No.
Didn't repark that? That
No.
didn't happen? Okay. All right.
My car was out on the parking lot.
The whole time?
Yeah.
Okay, because they said that when they came back even later that evening, her car was parked back in the garage, and your car was back out in the street.
No.
In fact, they said that they saw you out by your trunk.
No.
No? Okay, I'm getting confused signals here because you just nodded your head yes, and then you said no.
No, I did not.
Okay. All right, so you're saying that it was somebody else that was in your trunk after midnight?
My car was never inside the garage.
Okay.
The only time it was in the garage was 4 or 5 months ago when she left for a week to go to Colorado Springs.
Okay.
And that was it.
Okay. And your car was parked on the street then?
Yes.
Pretty much from the time you got home till the next morning when you went to work?
Yes.
And you went to work at what time this morning?
I went to work this morning at 7:45.
At 7:45?
Yes,
Okay.
because my boss wanted me to go and work with another provider whose first patient was today at 8 o'clock.
And that was more important than your wife being gone all night long?
My in-laws have already made flyers They're doing a search thing that I couldn't go to. I don't know what else to do but remain calm and just wait. What else can I do?
You can start by telling me the truth.
I am telling you the truth.
I don't think you are telling me the truth.
I am telling you the truth.
Listen, I understand relationships are hard. People lose their temper. They go off. It's difficult. If you love this woman, if you really love this woman, you'd do just about anything to find her, right?
Yes.
Okay, so start telling me the truth.
I am telling you the truth.
Okay. Well, tell me where you went Wednesday morning.
Wednesday morning?
Wednesday morning.
Wednesday morning, I didn't go anywhere. I went to work. I called the police officers. They came. I left to work at 7:50.
Okay.
And I went to work. I had to work at 8:25.
You didn't leave home shortly after midnight?
No.
Okay.
Jonathan stood his ground and was adamant that the neighbor's testimony wasn't true. He claimed that he was home on the evening of the 9th and stayed there until he went to work the next day. But Jonathan had no idea that the Denver Police Department had already analyzed his cell phone data, and it told a different story altogether.
And you've already told me that no one else uses your phone and your phone was with you? Okay. Do you know how cell phones work?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me, maybe in your own words.
They are with the satellites. Not
No.
satellites, with the phone lines.
Cell towers.
Cell towers.
Yeah. So you realize that even if your phone isn't receiving calls, it's constantly searching for a tower. And it's constant. And when it hits that tower, it gets information. And that sort of makes a trail. Okay. So we've got your phone leaving your address shortly after midnight Wednesday morning, heading eastbound on I-70. And you're telling me nobody else had your phone?
No one else had my phone. I didn't leave my apartment.
Okay. Then how do we explain this technology?
But I did not leave my apartment. I am not lying to you. I want my wife to come home. I don't know what else to do.
Start by telling me the truth.
I am telling you the truth.
Your story is not making any sense. And no reasonable person is going to look at this and say, this makes sense. Like I said, if you guys had a falling out and something happened, now is the time to get it out, because people make mistakes. And this investigation isn't going to go away. And we're doing a lot more than just checking your house and your car and her car. And I'm not going to go into details as far as what we're doing. But now is really your opportunity. If you made a mistake,
I did
now
not
is
make a mistake. I didn't do anything. I did not. And if I'm not under arrest or anything, I want to leave. So I can at least go and do something to find my wife.
Now you're interested in finding your wife?
I've always been interested in finding my wife.
You didn't even go in the bedroom when you came home.
I don't usually go into the bedroom if I don't need to go into the bedroom.
You don't normally sleep in the bedroom?
No.
Have you been sleeping on the couch?
No, I have not.
Okay, do you guys normally sleep in the same bed?
Yes.
Okay, is there some reason?
But Tuesday night, I was worried I didn't want to sleep in the bedroom. I wanted to sleep in the living room. Wait for her in the living room.
Again, that makes absolutely no sense to me. But I do believe you when you say that you went to bed around 1 o'clock. That much is true, because that's what time we have you coming back. Shortly before 1 o'clock.
Cell phone data placed Jonathan at East 26th Avenue and Powhatan Road between 12 a.m. and 1 a.m. That area was a fairly quiet road and was the perfect place to go for anyone who might want to try to hide something. The Denver Police Department knew this and suspected that's where they would find the answers they were looking for.
I think you guys have been fighting a lot, and I think things were not going well, and I think at some point a line was crossed. Somebody might have been hurt, it might have gotten worse, and I think now you are doing everything in your power to try and hide that.
No.
story is not adding up at all. Listen, I don't think you're a bad guy. And like I said, if you made a mistake,
I didn't make a mistake.
now is the time to let us know, okay?
Fine, I did leave my house at midnight.
Okay, what happened?
I just drove. I drove and I just drove. That's it, that's all I did, I drove. I couldn't sleep. I was worrying about her, I drove.
You know, the problem that I have with that story now is I asked you 3 separate times earlier in our interview about you leaving the house and you didn't. If I can't believe you now, or then, how can I believe you now?
Because I drove. Okay.
Where did you drive?
I just got onto I-70 and I just drove.
Did you go east or west?
I went east.
Okay. How far did you go?
Tower Road, Smith Road.
Did you stop?
No.
Didn't stop at all?
No.
Not even once?
Yes, on Smith Road.
Okay, see, there we go again, as far as the whole untruthfulness. No, yes. You don't know what I know, okay? And so you're guessing around. See, the easy thing about the truth is there's only one version of it.
Jonathan claimed he went as far as Tower Road, but the officer knew that was a lie. In reality, he had been much further out of town. But getting Jonathan to admit the truth wouldn't be easy, and it might take more than a stern interrogation from the investigator to make him crack.
Are we done?
If you're done, do you want to talk to me anymore?
No.
Then I don't believe that you want to find your wife.
Without a confession, the Denver Police Department would need as much evidence as possible to prove Jonathan was involved in his wife's disappearance. They began the search of the area where Jonathan had stopped his car in the early morning hours of the 10th. The search began on Thursday, March the 11th, but had to be abandoned due to poor light. But that wasn't enough to stop the search teams. On Friday, March the 12th, they made the tragic discovery.
Right now, breaking news at 6. Denver police believe they have found the remains of this missing woman. 24-year-old Jasmine Cigarroa was last seen on Monday near Denver's Central Park neighborhood. The remains were found in Adams County.
Jasmine's body was located at East 26th Avenue and Powhatan Road, exactly where Jonathan had stopped his car and exactly where his cell phone data had placed him. It was determined that she had been the victim of strangulation, and Jonathan was charged with first-degree murder, assault, tampering with a body, and abuse of a corpse. Jonathan would never openly admit to killing his wife and maintained his innocence throughout the investigation and eventual trial in 2024. But with the evidence mounting against him, the verdict was almost certain.
Guilty, that's the verdict for a man in Denver charged with murdering his wife 3 years ago. A jury found Jonathan Nuno Mijangos guilty of first-degree murder this week. Back in 2021, his wife Jasmine Cigarroa was found dead in a rural area miles from her home. Nuno Mijangos now faces life in prison without the possibility of parole. His sentencing will be on Friday.
Jonathan was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, meaning he would never see freedom again. There is nothing that will ever bring Jasmine back, but hopefully Jonathan's lengthy prison sentence will bring some comfort to her loved ones.